Take a look now at what's been grabbing the headlines around the world. Florence Villeminot joins us once again.
Hi, Holly.
To go through the international front pages, and of course Republican hopeful Ted Cruz dropping out of the presidential race last night, making the headlines.
That's right. His defeat in Indiana was the final straw. You can read more about it in Politico. He said it was with a heavy heart that he put an end to what Politico calls one of the best organized campaigns in 2016. So what went wrong? Well, you can read more about it in the Daily Beast today, that says that actually, what really went wrong is Ted Cruz himself. It's quite critical of Ted Cruz, saying, look, he has everything. He has brains, ambition, strategy, a loving and supportive family. But the problem is he's very unlikable, and unlikable in general and unlikable within the Republican Party. This article quotes, for instance, the South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham, who summed it up by saying, the choice between Trump and Cruz is essentially the choice between being shot or poisoned. Essentially, I guess people preferred to be shot than poisoned.
Oh my goodness. Well, Cruz's exit does leave Donald Trump as the only candidate seemingly able to take the Republican nomination.
That's right. The New York Times in its editorial says it's Donald Trump's party now, a party that the New York Times is not excited about. It says that the GOP, so the grand old party, is trekking into darkness and took a fateful step yesterday. This editorial actually quotes an election analyst, Henry Olson, who says, I'm watching a 160-year-old party commit suicide. Now, other papers are a little less dramatic. Let's take a look at the editorial in the Wall Street Journal today that says, look, this Trump nomination is not going to destroy the Republican Party, but it certainly is going to guarantee another Clinton presidency. And you can see this is quite a harshly worded article by Brett Stevens, who says the GOP, so the Republican Party, is essentially just getting what it deserves. Trump and his policies are the inevitable outcome of the Republicans' descent into populism.
Well, some of the papers are also exploring what lies ahead for the anti-Trump Republicans.
That's right. Interesting piece in the Washington Post today that says that anti-Trump Republicans are confronting a dilemma, and they have to ask themselves, how much do they hate Donald Trump? And is it enough to essentially fight him in the general election by, say, putting forward a third candidate? This is something that's being floated. But if this third candidate emerges, essentially it'll draw voters away from Trump and pretty much guarantee a Clinton candidacy. So you can see, do they hate Trump enough to be ready to help Hillary Clinton make it to the Oval Office?
Well, they're not the only ones who have to do a bit of soul searching, according to another article you've pulled for us.
That's right. Another article in the Washington Post, in fact. This is by Ruth Marcus. Interesting piece that says, not only Republicans, but Democrats and the media also have some serious soul-searching and self-examination to do. Very harsh words for the media in particular. It says that essentially we fell short. Mesmerized by the bright and shiny object that is Donald Trump, we collectively failed to plumb his gaping lack of policy knowledge and proposals. Not completely, just enough, and way too late.
Well, after that rap on the knuckles, let's move across to British politics now. And tomorrow, Londoners are voting for a new mayor.
That's right. And if you're just waking up to this information, there's a good summary piece in the Daily Telegraph here. When is the London mayoral election? Tomorrow. And who's running? Well, you can see here the photos of the two main contenders. So you have Sadiq Khan from the Labour Party on the left there, and Zach Goldman from the Conservatives. The Telegraph has a face-off. If you haven't made up your mind, must be said, though, they're leaning more towards the Conservative candidate there.
OK, but Sadiq Khan is the favourite to win. And if he does so, he's going to be the first Muslim mayor of the British capital.
That's right. That is definitely a detail that's getting a lot of attention in the British papers. Let's take a look at this article in The Guardian. This is by Yasmin Alibai Brown, who says that the very fact that a Muslim would make it to this high in office could do more to combat radicalization than any other government strategy. You can see here, electing Sadiq Khan as mayor of London would be the terrorists' worst nightmare. But it must be said that critics have raised questions about Sadiq Khan's possible alleged links to extremism over the years of his career as a human rights lawyer. And now he's under fire after footage emerged of him using a derogatory term to describe Muslims. This This video was unearthed by the Daily Mail, the right-wing tabloid, and essentially what he says in this, he's heard describing some Muslims as Uncle Toms, so essentially subservience. This is an interview he gave in 2009 to an Iranian TV station, and the Daily Mail says it's an extraordinary slur against moderate Muslims. Now, could this scupper his plans to be mayor? That, of course, is the question everyone wants to know. The election is tomorrow, though, and check out this article in The Independent. Very confident, says Sadiq Khan never loses, and if he wins the election tomorrow, don't be surprised if one day he becomes the Prime Minister of Britain.
Okay, it's looking a bit far ahead, really. Let's take it one election at a time. Florence Bielmano taking us to the international press. Thanks for that. Stephen Carroll, thank you to you also. Do stay with us here on France 24, back after this short break with all our latest news headlines. Plus, we'll be bringing you our focus reports from the Gulf, where the countries there are facing tough times thanks to that oil crisis. And now faced with the chance of raising taxes. We'll find out how that's going down in focus after this.